right now I just sort of wanted to focus back on this cool scene of these vehicles driving over the desert. And imagine my arms and head and my upper body sticking up over the rear hull, looking around, because that's me during combat team exercises in Meaford. I did that stuff. I was the LAR gunner during one X, week-long X, and then another X I was fire team commander. Canadian Army, but I freaking love that. That was great. They had just changed the tactics. Here, let me show you some photographs. This is a photograph of me in full Jaeger mode. Ground control players will know what I'm talking about. I'm camoed up, and we're about ready to go roll out on the beginning of a new X. This is me with my team, my fire team. And except for the driver, I was responsible for this team here, and I'm right in the middle, right there. But yeah, no. When we dumped, I had to manage these guys. Here's a snap I did, a quick shot. Here's a bunch of quick shots. There's a shot from, that's the position of the APC looking forward. They were just teaching us new tactics for armor, which was, prior to that, we moved more in a flank like this, where you had the infantry fanned out. But I guess, you know, this particular X was in 1990, and the Cold War was coming to an end, so I figured they changed their doctrine to more of what's called a FIBWA doctrine, fighting in built-up areas. So I guess they wanted the infantry to be moving closer, tighter to the armor. So I'm leading the team there. I have this kind of, you can see that's me because I have a rolled up blanket on across my shoulders. That's actually this thing right here. I carried this piece of kit during X a lot. It was really great. So here we are. This is ground control players will recognize this moment. This is where you dump your infantry out of your APC as you're going, and your APC goes and basically tries to nuke a couple of well, not nuke, but special a couple enemy tank squads, or preferably an APC. Here's a shot I took during. We were in defense later in this exercise, and I took this shot. Some guy, it's a senior NCO, is running across the back of our position. He's got a Carl Gustav rocket launcher, and the Carl G is basically that weapon that the Craven Marines have. That's pretty much what their weapon is based on. The Carl G is actually also a Swedish weapon, Carl Gustav, and so the team at Massive would definitely want to include that or emphasize that. Here's the one final shot. This is me getting rained on, or they call it Meaforded on. I was getting we were in a defensive phase in that thing, and the enemy was uncontrolled. Basically, it was a giant war game, and anyway, a lot of days sitting there in the foxhole, looking and waiting. Oh, there's Marines still standing at attention. Somebody should follow those guys out. So yeah, this game channel is gonna be about war games, and it's gonna be about strategy. It's gonna be entertaining gameplay. There's gonna be a lot of this game, Ground Control. This game is a masterpiece, which has gone completely under the radar, but whatever. And I'm going to have a lot of fun. I have a lot of gaming friends, and we do a lot of things which I'd love to share. Here we're zooming through the base again. I could kind of sort of think of this base here as the home base of the Sand Table, the entire series. Though I don't want to do that too much because I don't want to compromise my IP position, but whatever. I've provided a lot, I think, in the coverage of this game. First of all, camera coverage. That alone is part of my commentary, and then there's verbal commentary, though I'm pretty soft-spoken. But I've also added more music, new music, because I kind of think that the multiplayer scene never had its own music. The music for Ground Control is really great music. The only thing is, it's made for the single-player campaign. There was never any music that kind of tried to balance the different factions off each other in a multiplayer environment. And the other thing is, I wanted new music because that old music is getting stale by now. I wanted something to spark the Ground Control community. Yeah, and here I am. I'll tell you something. I'm baked. Frankly, I'm baked. And I'm watching this. And yeah, this is like I'm riding around on the dunes, dune buggying. Well, I'm not driving, but and a lot of the games that we've done here on Ground Control that I'm going to feature is just a bunch of guys who are baked. They aren't necessarily trying to win. They just want to have a good time, and that's fine. That's perfect. Yeah, that's a perfect thing to do with this game. We've had a lot of fun just setting little traps for each other and just trying to outsmart the other guy, and then go on this team and that team and baiting and outflanking the outflanking, and then camping or artillerying and whatever. So. But I also have some vintage gaming videos. I've been doing game movies since the 80s. I did 2 in the 80s. One to get into film school. I did a little Super 8 film about some guys doing a war game. Squad leader it was. And then the other one was I did a game, what I think is the first game trailer ever. It was a music video of video games called Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire, and I'm going to put that on this channel as well. In the 90s, I was heavily into tabletop gaming, and I had done a game manuscript. You can see it on my site, xfunk.com. There's a game there called Fire Zone, but I had a deal to distribute that. I just needed to finish writing it. Anyway, I put up the manuscript on my website. You can check it out. But I did a lot of tabletop wargaming, in particular double-blind wargaming. And double-blind wargaming taught me so much about strategy. I did this for years before Ground Control appeared. And when Ground Control came, I knew team tactics. Team strategy. I knew how to see things from the 30,000-foot level, and a lot of my commentary during Ground Control while I'm playing the game is going to be focused not so much on how I'm making a kill here or there. It's going to be focused more on what's the center of the team, what's the strategy, what's the overall view, And anyway, it's just grist for the mill, but in this channel, I want to also focus just on some of those tabletop games as well. And I have friends, and we're very active players in tabletop still. So, anyway, oh look, there's the other squad of lights buzzing by. So this is just one thing I gotta mention about the community, the GC community. There's a couple names I gotta call out. In particular, 3 guys. First one is Nox. Goes by the game name Nox, and Nox is kind of like the heart of the game, of the ground control community. He runs a blog. I mentioned it earlier, but he's done little debriefs of all the games for just about every week. He does a little debrief of every game he plays, posts it online, and he's basically built and kept the community going. Nox has. Another person I want to mention is Crinckle. Crinckle forked out some money to get a Ventrilo server, and that's just completely added a whole dimension, not only to the gameplay but also to the community. That's really taken us forward a lot. Last person I want to mention is Ninja Prime. Here it is, 13 years after Ground Control was released, and Ninja Prime is still making new maps for us. So anyway, those 3 guys in particular. But I'll tell you something. If you're still playing Ground Control now, and you've been one of those guys who's kept this community alive. I can't really name everyone, but there's so many. Anyway, I think that about does it. Let's let it go at that. So, hoping to see more of you. I'm out.